Alright, so this isn't one of those this changes everything video. I'm not sponsored and I'm not trying to push you to buy anything, but I've owned a ton of handhelds over the years. DS, DSi, 2DS, 3DS, and even this mini game handheld console here. I played on all of them, modded them, actually used them, and I've had them since I was a little kid. And for Christmas, I've even gotten the 3DS and the just regular DS, which are really, really cool. But I've had previous ones in the past that I've had since I was a little kid. And after spending real time with this beast, the AYN Thor, I can confidently say this is the end all be all for me. Not because nostalgia and all this other stuff where, you know, hardware, playing stuff on the hardware is actually better than emulation or whatever. Just that I can do so much more with the AYN Thor proves that this handheld is the handheld for me. Okay, back to my background with handhelds. I really think context matters here. I grew up on handhelds, and I can be straight with you that I've had plenty of consoles too. I'm a Sony person, so we've had the PS1, 2, 3, 4, and even 5. But I couldn't take those anywhere. But for this, I could take anywhere I wanted to. My first ever game on this was WWE All-Stars, and man, I remember sitting in my aunt's kitchen and opening up a birthday present that just had this really, really small little CD type disc that fits right here in this under bay area. And man, was I so excited to just start using like Rey Mysterio and John Cena and stepping on people's nuts in the ring. That was my introduction to handhelds, was especially with Sony, was the PSP. So that is just Sony consoles. Now this is my original DSi from when I was a little kid. I have modded it now. I've created a 3D custom stylus pen that actually works. I'm surprised that even happens. This is my, again, childhood DSi. I had a DS that was white. It wasn't one of the super OG models, but it was a white DS, and that's lost to time by now. But I've surprisingly been able to keep this DS and this PSP from when I was a little kid. And they work. They work and everything. This one just isn't charged right now. But yes, those work. The thing with these two handheld consoles was that not only did they pave a way for the future of handheld consoles, but they could do so much more, but were also extremely limited. PSP really brought this 3D environment into perspective, especially with something that could literally just fit right here. Your DS, for example, was very, very limited in terms of hardware. Sure, they were years apart from each other, but this did pave the way for the PSP. I really want to go into the next handheld console that I had, which was a PS Vita. This bad boy is a monster. You want to play any game up to basically GameCube, this is the one right here. This is the bad boy. You can custom boot this. You can mod this with ease. That is the move. And that's also something I've had since I was a little kid, was the PS Vita. And I've kept that one forever. And then, of course, I told you I got the 3DS and the original DS all in red for Christmas as of yesterday. And then I also have a little mini, almost like Game Boy looking Linux-based console. The point of the video here is to talk about the AYN Thor, and I'm sure you guys have all heard about, oh my god, this is the handheld console and everything, and I've watched plenty of videos on it as well. But man, first I want to go over why this console feels way different from the other AYN consoles and some of the other emulation consoles that I've been seeing recently. Practically a 3DS, but without the 3D, and it can do so much more. As you can see the form factor here on the 3DS. Of course I don't have the 3DS XL, but I do have a 3DS. And it's really cool to see both of these kind of in action here because, let me turn on the screen, I think that would probably be a lot better and a lot more fair. So as you can see, these are very, very similar in terms of kind of its form factor here. AYN Thor has two joysticks and has some extra buttons here in the back. Right here where my index and my pinky is. Let's talk about what everyone probably cares so much about this device if you were going to get it, is Switch emulation. The reason I want to go over this topic is because this is what I've been doing the most on the AYN Thor. Switch emulation on this is amazing. I've been playing a lot of Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3 HD remakes. And wow, is that game just phenomenal on the AYN Thor specifically. And here's why. Really, when I'm playing this game, the OLED just looks crisp. The 144 looks crisp. But the real factor here comes with playing this with this bottom screen here. In a traditional setup, and I'll go ahead and pull this up here, this is normally what my playthrough kind of looks like with this handheld. I think one of the main things with the AYN Thor that really sets it apart from these older consoles is games boot fast, frame pacing is okay, the input latency that everybody's talking about, I am just not receiving. People have mentioned a ton on these videos that, you know, original hardware is always going to be better than emulation. That's a given, right? But when you're emulating and you're not feeling that latency, what's really the difference on playing original hardware versus emulation? So here's a quick example of what my current look looks like with this AYN Thor, and why I preach about the Switch emulation so much is just this crazy looking screen here, bottom and top. It just looks great. I don't know how else to say it. As a community, I felt like we've been looking for a DS kind of style for a really long time. They call them clamshells. I've really been looking for something like this for a really long time, and the goal was to play 3DS and DS, and I played those just as much, kind of in pacing with the Switch game that I've been playing. This is basically a 6DS, a 5DS, a 4DS, whatever you want to call the next generation of the DS. This is it right here. It's not coming from greedy Nintendo. It is coming from China, which is whatever, but everything on this right now is super good. So I've been praising a lot about the AYN Thor. I'm just going to take a little bit of a detour and tell you kind of my thought process and why I bought this console, which is probably the biggest reason why you're watching this video here. Number one, I just wanted to play 3DS and DS games with a way better system than the original hardware. You can say all you want that the original hardware is going to be better and it's always going to be the best, but if you're not going to mod your console, you better have grip for that, or grit for that, I guess, whatever you want to say. Games for these consoles are so overpriced, it's not even funny. You can't practically find any games like Pokemon for these without it being a little bit of outrageous price. If not how it was when it was launched. But if you're a collector and you like to collect games and handheld consoles just like I do, then I can kind of see your point with it being old. But just know that we're in a digital age now. We're not grabbing discs all the time. They still sell them, but over time we're going to be pushed to using digital. I mean, that's practically almost everything now, including the AYN Thor. And we should really focus on that because luckily I haven't had to spend any money on any games on this yet. So that's one of the points I wanted to go over. You're not messing with cartridges all the time. You're not messing with the software for the Wii. You're on just plain Android, and that's all you really need. I'm not going to lie. Again, the main reason I wanted this was for DS and 3DS and even Switch and actually even PC using GameHub. That hasn't worked so well for me. I don't play like traditional, very base games on Steam. Most of the games I use actually do route to the documents folder on my computer. So that's not going to work on this AYN Thor. Switch, 3DS, DS, oh my god, it's amazing. What really sold me was that anything Switch and before is effortless for this thing to run. It's not running super duper hot, especially when you're in the 3DS and below. You know, when you kind of push a little bit further when you're getting to the Switch, it does get a little bit hot up here in the top right corner. But I've only seen that a couple of times, and it's really when I'm pushing it to its limits. PSP games look amazing, super crispy. PS Vita titles look amazing as well. In my opinion, there's not really Vita titles that you can really play on this thing, but I really only use my PS Vita just to play old GBA, Game Boy Color games, all that kind of stuff. I used to really just play Nintendo games on my PS Vita, funny enough. Let's talk about the battery life for the AYN Thor. This battery is crazy. I was playing my Switch game all day Christmas Day, practically, almost all day. And in about 5 to 6 hours, I was about to 20%. And I charged it about to 95% the day prior, which is pretty impressive for an AYN Thor. That's practically only running Switch and running a website in the bottom screen. I haven't done the cool little thing where people are playing YouTube at the bottom screen and playing a game at the top. I just can't comprehend all of that. But a guide at the bottom and the game on top, I was getting about 6 to 7 hours. Now let's talk about the analog sticks on the AYN Thor. Everybody likes RGB, whatever, cool. But these things are insane. I don't want to compare them to like a PS5 controller because they're a little bit different in terms of thickness, but they are super responsive. The lights look amazing. I normally don't play with lights on my joysticks just because, I don't know, I feel like it's maybe a little bit distracting unless I need to play in the dark. I also kind of want to take you guys through some of this B-roll here. Talking about the ESDE front end, this thing makes this really look like a handheld. We're not just looking at little circles on an Android app all the time. Again, we have 3DS here, we have Nintendo 64, DS, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Nintendo GameCube, Switch, PS2, PSP, Android apps, and then just straight up emulators, which I don't even dive into. But 3DS, it can run all of these games super great, and I'll actually be showing some gameplay here for the 3DS. All these Nintendo 64 games, all of these Nintendo DS games, GBA, Game Boy Color, GameCube, I don't have a ton. I just really wanted what I would actually want. Nintendo, oh my gosh, just look how beautiful it is. PS2, I've actually played Madden 04, God of War, Final Fantasy X, and WWE All-Stars works flawlessly. PSP, God of War, Chains of Olympus, I actually been playing. Again, phenomenal. And that's just that shot. Again, we have all these Android apps here. We got 2K, Madden, Call of Duty, Among Us. I put Battle Cats on here, Retro Bowl, South Park, which doesn't really work that well because it's touchscreen and it wants to be vertical. But yes, guys, I'm trying to tell you, if you're wanting something clamshell, get the Thor. Wait the time. Get the Thor. But man, the joysticks are amazing, especially if you can get kind of a bigger base for your Thor, like a grip. Man, those joysticks really, really shine there. What a lot of people don't really mention, I feel like, in some of these reviews, is just that it runs Android. And a lot of people, might think that's a little weird. But when I was able to play some of my games that I play on my phone, on the Thor, it took it to another level. I have a little cousin. He loves to play Roblox. He loves to play Among Us. And I'm not the biggest fan of them. But when I was thinking, well, why should I just play on my phone? I could play it on the Thor. I downloaded it, booted it up, ran so smooth. It was amazing. Even for something like Among Us, where like I haven't played Among Us since it was popular. It was really shining on the Thor. Playing Call of Duty mobile. I know that's not like a super big game, but the fact that I can play Call of Duty in a modern age on a 3DS-y kind of format is insane to me. I don't know. I think that's so cool. The honesty really comes here. I absolutely adore my PSP. It's from when I was a little kid. I love my PSP, my PS Vita. I've had this again since I was a little kid and modded it and played Pokemon Emerald, Ruby, Fire Red, all of it. I just got my 3DS, which of course I will play. That's not something I'm just gonna push to a side. This thing without a grip is pretty rough. I actually had to 3D print a grip just to make it kind of bearable with the back bumpers, because I want to play shooter games or whatever. And this thing really helps in terms of comfortability. Not only is it it's angling my hand, but it's also letting me get to these back triggers a lot easier. Here's kind of what it looks like with this. This is just 3D printed, it looks a lot better versus something where we're holding it like this, right? And my hands are pushing against the bottom and it's just really digging in there. And especially with my finger starting to cover the vent every now and then, you definitely kind of feel the air out of it. That's definitely a con with the Thor. Let's talk about the speakers on the Thor as well. The speakers on the Thor are fine. I'll class them as a fine just because I haven't equalized them just yet. I saw a TikTok that someone equalized their Thor and it sounded 10 times better, like easily. But just out of the box, it sounds okay. If you're going to be playing these Switch games and you're just listening to the soundtrack, it's not going to be bad. But if you're listening to something like music or certain things, you're going to hear a really tinny kind of volume to it. And again, that's just another con that you're going to be taking with the Thor. But if you just equalize a little bit, it should sound a lot better. What type of AYN do I have? What type of Thor do I have? I have the 16 gigabyte, 1 terabyte max model. So the reason why I got the max model is because I don't want to buy something else again. I don't want to keep buying consoles that I'm just going to have to replace. If this can run Switch and very specific titles on GameHub, that's all I need. Of course, we're going to expect every other one of these to always do something in the past. Which it can. Switch and beyond is where we're kind of getting to and pushing our limits now. So this can do it. And, although it was $500, I understand that you can get a Steam Deck all you want. And in certain cases, I would suggest you to get a Steam Deck. This is just it for me. I don't need anything else. I boast to my dad. My dad has handhelds. He's really thinking about getting a Legion Go. I boast to him all the time about how just great it is to play RPGs on this thing. And he is seriously debating over getting something so big like a Steam Deck or a Legion Go to get a Thor. Like, seriously, it's not even like just me saying that on video. It's real. Let's talk about cloud gaming here for a second because I didn't get on this topic yet. I've been playing a lot of Diablo 4 on my actual computer here. Now, you can't play Diablo 4 natively on the Thor. It's just not powerful enough. This is a AAA game that just looks amazing. It's not going to be able to run on the Thor. So I downloaded NVIDIA GeForce Now, and although you have to wait, again, works perfectly. I mean, I haven't had any problems with GeForce Now cloud gaming. I just only tried that, though. I haven't tried any other games, but yeah, Diablo worked amazing. So that's something else to mention with this cloud gaming is that even if you can't run certain games on your PC, just wait for the GeForce Now. I mean, this thing can just simply do it if you have good internet connection. I think another thing to mention too that kind of hit me was that I don't need these different chargers for every single console I have, man. Like, the DS uses a type of port no one even uses anymore. This port right here. Same thing with the DS, and I believe the 3DS uses it as well. Yes, it even does. That port, they don't even really sell. You have to get it from a third party. PS Vita uses this PS4 styled USB-B, I believe, or A, I don't remember what it's called, type of port here. The PSP uses something super random. It's it's this DC-in port here, this yellow one. It's just this super random thing, and just alone with what we talked about, that's 3 different types of cords I need to charge 5 different consoles. And we're really lucking out here because of the DS staying true to its old charger. Almost everything we have nowadays is going to be USB-C. You can go get a little vape from a store and having USB-C. You could charge your stupid Thor with that, USB-C is king right now. And modernized, we need to see something like that. Again, we don't need some weird charger for the Thor. We have a USB-C. If you have any comments, let me know how to fix the Eden thing with Dragon Quest 3. And if you guys have any other suggestions or any advice, please let me know. I would really appreciate it. And I'll be responding to the comments if I can. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.